You think you are saving 15 bucks on an oil change, but you are actually playing Russian roulette with a $30,000 EcoBoost or Coyote engine. Every single time you twist an unverified filter onto your Ford's oil filter adapter, you are gambling your crankshaft bearings, your variable camshaft timing phasers, and your turbochargers. The factory oil pressure specification on a modern Ford engine is precise, often requiring over 60 psi at higher RPMs, while maintaining critical oil flow through clearances as tight as 0.001 inches. Yet the average vehicle owner treats the oil filter like a passive metal can with some paper inside. It is not. It is an active, pressurized component. When you buy a substandard filter, you do not get a warning light on your dashboard when it fails. It does not throw a diagnostic trouble code. It silently starves your top end of oil, shreds its internal media, or stays stuck in bypass mode. By the time your oil pressure light flashes red, the Babbitt material on your main bearings is already gone. You spent an extra 5 minutes searching for a bargain online, and now you owe a mechanic $7,000 for a remanufactured long block. Let us expose the exact filters that are destroying these engines from the inside out. Number 7. The online marketplace ghost brands. You are scrolling through an online storefront and see a 4-pack of filters for $12. They look shiny. The listing says they fit your specific Ford engine VIN, and the reviews are flooded with 5 stars from people who have only owned the product for 5 minutes. Here is what those listings do not tell you. Unverified overseas manufacturers do not test their filter media for micron efficiency. A modern Ford engine requires filtration that captures particles down to 20 microns efficiently. These no-name filters often use cheap, porous paper that lets 40 micron or 50 micron particles pass straight through. Those particles are larger than the bearing clearances themselves. Worse yet, the anti-drainback valve is made of cheap nitrile rubber instead of high-temp silicone. Within 3 weeks of heat cycles, that rubber hardens like plastic. When you turn your engine off, all the oil drains out of the filter and back into the oil pan. Every morning when you turn the key, your engine experiences a dry start. For 3 to 5 seconds, your camshafts are spinning against aluminum journals with 0 oil pressure. The actionable fix: throw those marketplace bargain filters directly into the trash. Inspect your filter before installation and verify it features a flexible, high-visibility orange silicone anti-drainback valve, not a stiff black nitrile seat. Number 6. Rebranded wholesale garbage. This trap catches the vehicle owners who think they are being smart. You walk into a major discount auto parts chain or a big box retail store, and you buy a house brand filter. The box looks professional. The font mimics a premium brand. The part number cross-references perfectly to your vehicle. What you are actually buying is a white label product built by the lowest international bidder. To maximize profit margins, these manufacturers cut open area percentage on the center core tube and pack the canister with cheap, high cellulose media. Cellulose absorbs moisture from short trip driving. As it absorbs water and encounters hot engine oil, the fibers weaken under the pressure of a cold start, where oil pressure can easily spike past 75 psi. The weakened cellulose media begins to tear. It sheds microfibers directly into the oil stream. Those fibers migrate straight to your variable valve timing (VVT) solenoids. The small mesh screens on your Ford actuators clog with paper debris, starving the phasers and causing thousands of dollars in timing chain wear and phaser rattle. The actionable fix: stop buying house brand filters based on cross-reference charts. Stick exclusively to Tier 1 manufacturers who publish their independent filtration efficiency ratings according to ISO 45-48-12 standards. Number 5. Wrong bypass valve pressure configurations. This is a silent killer that even experienced DIY mechanics miss. An oil filter is designed with an internal spring-loaded bypass valve. If the filter media clogs, or if the oil is too thick during a sub-zero cold start, the valve opens so the engine does not starve for oil. A standard Ford engine typically requires a bypass valve calibrated between 8 and 16 psi of differential pressure. But certain high-output or EcoBoost variants require up to 22 psi. Generic filter manufacturers do not want to manufacture 20 different valves, so they build one single universal valve calibrated at 10 psi and put it in every canister that shares the same thread pitch. If you put a 10 psi bypass filter on an engine that requires 22 psi, the valve opens during normal acceleration. Every time you accelerate hard onto the highway, your oil pressure overrides the weak spring. Unfiltered oil bypasses the media completely and flows directly into your turbocharger feed lines. You are running unfiltered oil through a turbo spinner that rotates at 150,000 RPM, the actionable fix. Look up the exact OEM-specified bypass pressure rating for your specific engine code in the factory service manual. Cross-reference that number against the tech sheet of the aftermarket filter before you screw it on. Number 4. Unverified extended drain claims. We have all seen the packaging promises. Guaranteed protection for 15,000 miles. It sounds like an incredible deal. You pair it with a full synthetic oil and assume you are good for the next year. This is pure marketing fiction. While the synthetic oil itself might hold up chemically for 15,000 miles, the physical filter canister has a limited holding capacity. Once the filter media captures its maximum weight in carbon soot, dirt, and wear metals, it reaches capacity. When a filter fills up at mile 7,000, it does not stop the engine. It simply triggers the bypass valve. For the remaining 8,000 miles of your oil change interval, your oil is not being filtered at all. You are driving around with a closed-loop system of abrasive slurry. The oil on your dipstick might look clean to the naked eye, but microabrasives are actively scoring your cylinder walls and wearing down your piston rings. The actionable fix: ignore the extended mileage claims on the retail box. Even if you use a high-end synthetic oil, change your oil filter every 5,000 to 7,500 miles max to ensure the media never operates in continuous bypass mode. Number 3. The misapplied diesel filter. Some truck owners think bigger is always better. They find a heavy-duty diesel filter that shares the same thread diameter and gasket size as their gasoline V8 or EcoBoost engine. They think the massive canister will provide extra surface area and better cooling. This is a catastrophic engineering mistake. Diesel filters are designed for completely different flow characteristics, oil viscosities, and soot loads. A diesel filter media is often restrictive to accommodate high viscosity diesel oils under different operating pressures. When installed on a gasoline engine, the high restriction creates a massive pressure drop across the filter. Your oil pump is working harder, but the actual oil pressure reaching the cylinder heads drops significantly. Your overhead cam lobes will start pitting within a few thousand miles due to localized starvation. The actionable fix: never choose a filter based on thread fitment alone. If the catalog does not explicitly list your exact gasoline engine displacement and year, do not install it. You might think these 5 traps are bad enough, but the next 2 hidden filter hazards are even more deceptive, because they target performance enthusiasts who think they are buying premium protection. Say number 2. Unverified aftermarket magnetic all-in-one filters. This trap is specifically set for the performance community. You own a high-output Mustang or a modified EcoBoost truck, and you want the absolute best protection possible. You see an advertisement for an aftermarket billet aluminum or composite filter that features internal neodymium magnets. The marketing pitch sounds incredibly convincing. Standard paper filters miss microscopic ferrous metal particles, but our rare earth magnets pull them straight out of the oil stream before they can destroy your bearings. Here is the mechanical reality that the marketing glossy glosses over. The magnet itself works perfectly fine at trapping iron and steel wear particles. The catastrophic failure point is the unregulated, unverified internal bypass valve assembly housed inside these aftermarket canisters. Major OEM suppliers spend millions of dollars testing the spring rates, sealing materials, and seat designs of their bypass valves across millions of thermal cycles. These aftermarket boutique operations do not. Many of these unverified magnetic filters use cheap nitrile or low-grade fluorosilicone seals on their internal bypass mechanisms. Over time, the aggressive chemical additive packages in modern full synthetic oils, specifically the highly concentrated detergents and zinc anti-wear compounds, react with these unverified rubber compounds. The seal swells, softens, and degrades. Within 4,000 miles, the bypass valve leaks constantly, allowing oil to route completely around the filter media and the magnet. The economic reality of this mistake is staggering. You spend $150 on a fancy magnetic filter setup to protect your engine. Because the unverified bypass valve fails and allows unfiltered oil to constantly cycle through your variable camshaft timing system, the VVT phasers become contaminated with micro debris. The phaser pins shear, the timing chains stretch, and the pistons eventually slam into the valves on an interference engine. A standard factory long block replacement for a Gen 3 Coyote V8 costs upwards of $13,000 in parts and labor. Your $150 upgrade just caused a $13,000 mechanical catastrophe. The actionable fix: stick to a verified, high-efficiency traditional filter for your primary oil filtration system. If you want the undeniable benefits of magnetic particle capture, do not buy an unverified, all-in-one filter canister. Instead, install a high-quality magnetic oil pan drain plug or a verified external filter magnet that clamps securely to the outside of a heavy-duty steel filter housing. This setup gives you identical magnetic capture capability without compromising the integrity of the internal bypass valve engineering. Number 1. The Warehouse Sleeper, Exberg New Old Stock. This is the ultimate hidden hazard because the component itself might actually be a premium name brand filter. You find a seller on a liquidation website, a digital marketplace, or at a local swap meet selling top-tier, name-brand filters for 70% off the retail price. The box is a little dusty, but you open it up, and the metal canister looks immaculate. There is no rust, the threads are clean, and the brand name is one you trust completely. You buy a case of 10, thinking you have just beaten the system and secured high-end protection for the next 5 years. You have actually just installed a ticking time bomb on your engine block. Oil filters possess a strict shelf life that the automotive industry rarely discusses openly. The internal sealing components, most notably the anti-drainback valve and the structural baseplate gasket, are manufactured from synthetic elastomers. The moment these rubber compounds are molded, a chemical clock begins ticking. Exposure to atmospheric oxygen, ambient moisture, and seasonal temperature swings causes these elastomers to undergo a process called polymer degradation. When a filter sits in an unconditioned warehouse or a damp garage for 4, 5, or 6 years, the anti-drainback valve loses its elasticity. It hardens, becomes brittle, and develops microscopic stress cracks. Once you screw that filter onto your engine, the hot oil pressure spikes instantly stretch that brittle rubber. The valve tears completely free from its retaining seat. The torn pieces of the rubber valve do not just sit there. They are forced directly into the main oil gallery of your engine block. Consider the financial stakes of this bargain find. You saved $8 per filter by buying liquidation stock. The torn fragments of that hardened, degraded anti-drainback valve migrate straight into the oil feed hole for your number 1 main crankshaft bearing, or the oil feed line for your turbocharger. It acts as a perfect mechanical blockage, starving that specific component of oil instantly, within 30 seconds of highway driving. The bearing spins or the turbocharger shaft snaps due to frictional heat exceeding 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. You traded an $8 savings for a $4,000 turbo replacement or a $9,000 engine rebuild. The actionable fix: stop treating oil filters like inert pieces of hardware that last forever. Treat them like perishable mechanical components. Every major filter manufacturer prints a production date code or a batch lot number on the top or side of the metal canister, usually using an alphanumeric Julian date code string. Learn to read these codes or contact the manufacturer directly to decode the stamping before installation. Never install a filter that has been sitting on a shelf for more than 3 to 4 years from its documented date of manufacture, regardless of how pristine the outer packaging appears. Now that we have thoroughly exposed the 7 filter hazards that will quietly destroy your Ford engine from the inside out, it is time to pivot to the components that actually deserve a place on your vehicle. We are breaking down the top engineering choices that consistently survive real-world teardowns and deliver the exact structural performance your engine demands. The ultimate deception: counterfeit OEM Filters in genuine packaging. You think you are completely safe because you followed the classic mechanic's advice. Always buy original equipment manufacturer parts. You log online, find an independent distributor or a discount portal, and order an OEM Motorcraft filter. It arrives in the iconic red and white box. The logo is crisp. The part number FL500S or FL820S is stamped right on the metal casing. You open it up, look at the base plate, and feel confident that your engine has the exact factory-specified protection it needs. You have just fallen into the most sophisticated, destructive trap in the modern automotive aftermarket. The market is completely saturated with counterfeit oil filters, built by industrial-scale counterfeit rings overseas. They do not target cheap brands. They copy the highest volume OEM filters on Earth, because they know you trust the box. They invest millions in high-precision printing equipment to replicate the packaging down to the exact barcode, holographic stickers, and font spacing, making it utterly impossible to tell the difference from the outside. The deception ends the millisecond you spin that filter onto your housing. Inside that perfect replica shell is an engineering nightmare. To keep manufacturing costs under 50 cents a unit, counterfeiters do not use automotive-grade filter media. They use cheap, thin industrial paper or even recycled wood pulp that has no wet tensile strength. The internal bypass valve is not a calibrated steel spring assembly. It is a crude, stamped piece of scrap metal with a generic plastic tab. When your oil pressure climbs to 60 psi on the highway, the catastrophic failure begins. Because the counterfeit paper cannot withstand the pressure differential or the chemical breakdown of hot oil, the internal pleats completely pancake and collapse against the center tube. Within hours, the paper disintegrates. It tears into shreds and enters the main oil gallery. It doesn't just bypass the filter. The filter media itself physically tears apart and travels through your engine blocks like a stroke-causing blood clot. The financial fallout is absolute. You paid $9 for a filter you thought was genuine to protect your investment. The shredded counterfeit paper flows directly into the oil galleries of your high-pressure oil pump, locking the internal gears instantly. With zero oil pressure, your variable camshaft timing phasers seize. The timing chain snaps, and the valves punch through the tops of your pistons at 4,000 RPM. A complete mechanical destruction of a 3.5-liter EcoBoost or a 5.0 Coyote engine costs between $11,000 and $15,000. The counterfeiter made $5 in profit. You are left with a totaled vehicle or a massive debt on a credit card. The actionable fix: never, under any circumstances, buy OEM oil filters from unverified online vendors, third-party marketplace sellers, or liquidation storefronts just to save $3. Buy your OEM filters directly from the parts counter of a franchise dealership or from national wholesale distributors who possess a direct, documented supply chain from the manufacturer. When you hold the filter, inspect the assembly. Look down the center tube with a flashlight. Genuine filters feature clean, machine-crimped metal joints and uniform, tightly spaced pleats. Counterfeits frequently display messy glue globs, uneven spacing, and exposed metal burrs on the internal core. The final directive: your complete engine protection protocol. Your engine does not care about marketing hype, glowing online reviews, or beautiful packaging. It only responds to the brutal laws of fluid dynamics, material science, and mechanical engineering. If you feed it contaminated oil, starve its bearings during cold starts, or let cheap component manufacturing dictate its oil pressure, it will punish you with premature wear and catastrophic failure to ensure your investment survives past 200,000 miles. You must transition immediately from a passive vehicle owner to a strict quality inspector. Memorize and execute this final checklist on every single service interval. Verify the source. Stop chasing the absolute lowest price on a safety-critical engine component. Buy exclusively from verified retail chains or authorized OEM dealerships. Audit the date codes. Always locate the alphanumeric Julian date code stamped on the filter canister. If the manufacturing date is older than 3 to 4 years, reject the part and demand fresh stock. Check the anti-drainback valve. Peer into the inlet holes of the filter baseplate. Ensure the valve is made of high-temperature orange silicone, which remains pliable down to sub-zero temperatures, rather than rigid black nitrile rubber that causes dry start bearing wear. Confirm bypass calibration. Match your vehicle's engine code directly to the filter manufacturer's technical datasheet to guarantee the internal spring rate opens at the exact PSI differential required by the factory. The extra 3 minutes you spend auditing your parts and the extra $4 you spend on a premium. Verified filter are not expenses. They are the cheapest insurance policy you will ever buy for your vehicle. Take control of your maintenance, protect your machinery, and refuse to let a cheap metal can dictate the lifespan of your engine.